Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video, a very simple product. This here is the Giga Pump 4.0 from Aerogogo. Now in the past, I have looked at a number of products from Aerogogo. They make some really cool stuff, like for example, inflatable couches and armchairs. This here being an armchair. We're going to take a look at this in a later video. I've already taken a look at their inflatable couch. I've looked at some of their air mattresses. And in today's case, a small little portable pump, which if you haven't used these are quite effective. Extremely lightweight, extremely packable, and actually, given their size, pack quite a punch for their capabilities overall. Very, very good. So in today's video, what we're gonna do, we'll take a look at this in a little bit of detail, bust it out of the package, use it for inflating and deflating purposes. I'll show you another example of other pumps that I've looked at very similar to this in the past, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Aerogogo who did provide this for review. And so as we get this started, if you've been watching my channel, you probably realize I'm in a slightly different setting. This is my new studio, just got it set up, so I'm working through some of the lighting bugs. So if things aren't exactly perfect just yet, well, I know I'll get it there. So very nice to settle into my new studio and talk to you about this Aerogogo Giga Pump 4.0. Now I have a ton of air mattresses. I'm very involved in hiking, camping, backpacking, excursions. The backpacking excursions, you definitely want to be lightweight, but maybe you don't want to use all your breath to get your inflatables up and running, whether you're in a tent or in my case, a lot of times I'll even use something like a mattress in my hammock to take the wind off my back, give me a little added comfort. So having a small pump might come into play. Even more so where I actually use things like this the most. We have a ton of sleepovers. I have my kids, they're always bringing their friends over here. They always need a place to sleep. So having a small pump like this definitely comes into play. Now this air mattress here is a fairly reasonable size. I'm not gonna say it's huge, but it's actually a pretty good size. And this does have the ability to fill it a couple of ways. It actually has a built-in foot pump, and these are hit or miss. Sometimes they work well, other times they're kind of wonky. This does work fairly well, but I can tell you, you're still gonna put a good amount of effort into getting this blown up, especially given the overall size. But this also has a fill valve on the back. It's got a deflation valve and then also the inflation valve. And so as we pull this off, a one-way valve to allow it to inflate. Taking a look at my adapters, this one here is the appropriate size to fill. You're going to place this in the bottom, which is the white side, and that's also the side that has the LED. So right there, that's the fill. There's your air intake. And as we get it installed onto the air mattress itself, you'll notice that this fits fairly snug and kind of seats in there. I don't necessarily need to hold it on, and that's what tells me this is the right size nozzle. At this point, I can get things started. And we're gonna let the time run and see how long this takes. Making pretty good progress here. You can see starting to fill the baffles. Working halfway, almost 2/3 of the way down, starting to fill down towards the bottom. And again, this is a fairly large air mattress, about 3 inches thick, maybe a little bit more than that. So this is a nice thick air mattress here. Actually very comfortable, reasonably wide. A little bulkier than what I would take backpacking, so I'm not saying this is a backpacking version at all. This is kind of more of your general camp mattress, something I would use for car camping, something where I'm more stationary. Now you're going to hear as this gets to the end, it will change pitch, start to whine just a little bit. I would probably stop right about here in general. That's the low mode. And off. And overall, fairly quick. I will annotate the time below, but you can see at this point, nicely inflated, nice and firm. Not too much, but enough to get a good, comfortable night's sleep. The Giga pump absolutely doing its job wonderfully. And the only thing worth noting is when you go to remove the nozzle from the fill port, just twist it a little bit so it doesn't accidentally come undone. So just quick little easy turn, and that comes right out. Now to deflate, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to take that nozzle. We're now going to put it on the top, or in other words, the orange side. Get this installed into that fill port, but in this case, well, now we need to go to the deflate port. And the question is it the same size? Now this will start to deflate on its own, but I do like to kind of suck the air out of all the crevices. And as I go to install this, well, you can see clearly that's not going to fit. So going up one size, and that is the appropriate size. So we're going to use one nozzle larger here. Get that fitted up. That now fits nicely. We're going to suck the air out of all the corners as we get this deflated. Quickly, easily, and effectively getting this fully deflated. Now just literally sucking the air out of all the little corners and crevices. It's probably about good enough. But we'll let it go for just a minute here. And that's going to allow me to pack this up absolutely as tight as possible, which is really advantageous when you're breaking down your camp. Sometimes things like this can be quite difficult as you've expanded their footprint. Makes it just a little bit difficult to put away. But in this case, should be pretty easy getting that collapsed down. Folded simply in half. And effectively back into its stuff sack. And so now just taking a look at a similar but slightly different option. This here is a small pump from Flextail. Flextail also making similar types of products, and in this case you can see another very small pump. However, what I can say is it does appear as though the Giga pump just a little bit smaller. I do like that on the Giga pump you have two independent buttons, one for the light, which is awesome, so ending up with its own button there for the light, where on the Giga pump it's all kind of like connected, and I think you long press for the light there, which is fine, and it does its job just fine. Then you can click between the modes, and I also like the color temperature of the Giga pump better. You can see it's cooler, a little bit warmer here on the Flextail, cooler on the Giga pump. So although very similar products in a way, I do think that the Giga pump has a little bit of an advantage, both in terms of the size by a tiny bit, the quality of the light, and then the fact that it has two buttons versus one. So in my opinion, I would say that the Giga pump would be the way to go. But all in all, very cool, just awesome products from Aerogogo. They do a nice job. They're very effective. And the fact of the matter is, not only do they have the standalone pump, but they have pumps built into their other gear, like their mattresses, like their armchair and sofa. Just really, really cool excellent products, well thought through, and very nicely made. So, if you like what you see here, do me a favor, look in the description box below where you can find all of the relevant links to the people at Aerogogo. Thank you so much for providing this for review. We'll take a look at that armchair in a future review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, the channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.